So I decided I'm going to refresh this place, right? And I'm going to talk about why I went back to CIEE 3 times. Why I went back? Because I went 2015. I have the receipts to prove it, okay? What does that say? CIEE High School Summer Abroad Summer 2015. Okay. And back when I did it, I haven't looked recently, but even back when I did it, there weren't a lot of people like me that were like getting on and sharing about their experiences. And looking back, not only as someone that did the program 3 times, but looking back now like 11 years later, oh, I'm so happy I did it. I don't know what you do, right? But for me, I went to private school. In private school, they had a different program. It was called Summer Opportunity of a Lifetime. So we had donors for this school, and people who were donors to the school sometimes are also donors on boards of camps. So although these camps technically weren't connected to the school, your ability to participate in them was, right? So one thing that was completely different from public school was it wasn't about your essentially people skills. Like you weren't really critiqued on like, a certain set of behaviors or how you were. In public school, you were kind of critiqued on, okay, like are you learning the material? Are you hitting what you need to hit? And I mean, like in private school, it was important to get the good grades too, but there was also that component, like that social component, like where you were almost kind of conditioned on how to be a little bit, and things were kind of done for you a little bit more, right? So fast forward to CIEE and studying abroad, you gotta think. At this time, we are teenagers that are learning Chinese. And a lot of us are not Chinese. Like I was a little black girl from Chicago. That family's from South Carolina, Conway, South Carolina. Like, we know nothing about Chinese. Okay. Okay, and like my dad's dad is from Michigan. Like, and my dad's mom's from Trinidad and Tobago. Like, the closest to Asian we got is South Asian. Like, is that like South, like actual, Nepal and, like India. So this was completely different, right? So my freshman year, we got the option, like when we did in orientation, because I was in a selective enrollment school, which meant I tested into my school. It wasn't the best neighborhood. Like when people think of selective enrollment, they think, Sunshine Rainbows. No, we were in Inglewood, baby, 61st and Walcott. And let me just say, I would not have wanted to change the location of the school because by the time I graduated, they were gentrifying the mess out of that place. So it was, some people would say, oh, it's bad, but it was nice to see people like us see, hey, okay, now it's a good time for me to buy some property over here. So there were people, the right people, buying up some of these properties, seeing what was going on, because that's also when the city was investing in the colleges. So some people were like, hey, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to, stay here, take a gap year, get a house here because, there's investment in the area. So also, this is a note to like actually look at things that are going on in the city, not just what's portrayed in the news, because there are a lot of people making sure that really great things happen through some really cool programs in Chicago. So like my school partnering with that was like really awesome, and I was really excited about the opportunity. And people who also went to CPS schools were like, oh, I was like, we go to the same school system, you can do the same thing. And so being a parent who is like paying attention, Shout out to my mama. Shout out to Dr. James, okay? Because she was curious, okay? Shout out to all, because sometimes my cousins' moms were finding stuff and sharing stuff. So it really is like each one teach one. Like, talk to other parents, find out what resources and opportunities are out there. If you know the information, share it. That's why I'm here making this video, because I love this program. And so I talk about it for free, okay? And they pay me to talk about it. So I'm gonna keep running it up because it's really like changed my life. So when I tested into Limboom, right, you had two options. You had Arabic or you had Chinese. Now, they said from the jump, Arabic, you read it from right to left. I said, hold on, reading from left to right. Ding, ding, ding. I'll be taking the Chinese characters. They say they're like little pictures, right? It says like little pictures. Pay attention to the picture. I can do that. So Chinese it was, right? So I do my first year. I had a little Chinese teacher. He was from China. He was a really nice guy. However, I wasn't having it, okay? I was there to do my 2 years and I was there to get out. He was like, Brianna, like if you applied yourself, like it wouldn't be so hard. And I was like, sure. I don't care. I don't care. He was like, I know you can do it. I know you can do it. And I was like, ugh. Joke's on you. If he sees this, right, this video right here, you were right. You were right. I could do it. And shout out to you. Studied abroad 3 times. I loved it. And I still keep going back. So if you see me over there, say hey. Okay. So then my sophomore year, I had this one teacher. His name was Mr. Jebney. I forget his name. His Chinese teacher name. But I remember I had a Shasha Lauscher. Her name was Sasha. Shasha. I like saying her name. I remember her name. Okay. Anyway. So right. So I had Mr. Jebney. Everybody's like, oh, Mr. Jebney's so tough. And like after having the Chinese do my freshman year, he was like, I know you can do it, Brianna. I know you can do it. And to have Mr. Jebney low-key used to be like, I see you can't keep up. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. So my mom didn't really give me a choice. I kid you not, I drugged my feet. I promise you, I was on Texas and Houston, and we were in the car going to Louisiana, going to New Orleans. And my mom was like, you need to be filling out that application for study abroad. I don't care how much money it is, I'm paying for you to go. I was like, because I had missed the scholarship deadline. And I was like, if I miss the scholarship deadline, she's not going to pay out of pocket. The joke was on me. The joke was on me. She said, I got some savings saved up just for you. And she sent me away. Okay. And thank you to everyone that donated to my GoFundMe for my flight. She still made me go. And shout out to my church, New Life Covenant Southeast, okay? Because they gave your girl pocket change. Amen. Okay, so when I tell y'all that there is money out here, the communities that you're already involved in, how many people are doing it like you, okay? If you are staying up, like, listen, if you come across this video and you're up late night doing your homework, thinking about study abroad, do it. There are so many people that want to invest their money into that. Why? Because the connections that you're going to make, the relationships that you're going to build, the confidence, the people skills, like think about it. Like, okay, let me go over some of the activities that we were doing, right? So we had a oral language interview, which meant that there was a panel of teachers, right? They give you a textbook and they're asking you to talk out the textbook. They're asking you to read. They're asking you to write. They're asking you questions. Okay. So then you get calligraphy and painting classes. So they're setting up cultural activities. And what I liked about our calligraphy class is that it was taught by people. It was taught by people in Chinese. They didn't speak a lick of English, not a word. Okay, so you're having to learn calligraphy classes in Chinese, and you either got to get with it or get lost, which meant that you're gonna shut up and you're gonna listen. You're gonna see what words can I pick up. You look at the schedule. You say, okay, next class is on next Tuesday. Okay, let me listen more. Let me do my homework more so that I can understand more. The teacher said more what the teacher say. Let me go learn the names of the tools in Chinese. So when she's saying to get this and this, I know what she's talking about. So it creates challenges for you within yourself because you don't want to get left behind. You don't want to get left behind because there's this cool stuff going on and you want to you want to stay abreast. You want to stay afloat. You want to know what's going on, right? Okay. So then we would have language study, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., which is where Chinese, so I was studying at Nanjing Daxie, so Nanjing University. You see that? Top school in Nanjing. And for those who don't know, history lesson, Nanjing was actually the first capital of China. Okay, 希爸爸你好. Xi Jinping's motorcade drove by me and my homie Grayson on it was some Chinese holiday. I forget which one it was, but we saw the black trucks driving by. We're like, that's the president, because we were in Beijing. And then Grayson's host mom had the connect. She was in the know, and so we asked her, "Was it?" She's like, "Yeah, it was." We were like, ah! But like, it's fun, like little moments like that. Like, who can say like, "Yeah, the president of China saw me." I don't care what y'all say. Anyway, I love that place. So then we had things like into the community, which meant that we were actually going, here I'll show it to you on the sheet. And I don't know, honestly, I would be so shocked and also happy if they had the same program or same like schedule for the program, because it really was amazing. It was set up so nicely, like to the point where even at the college level when we were doing it, the kids that were from Oxford, like the Oxford in the UK, like the Oxford, they're like, oh, your program is so nice. They were like, it's so nicely organized. They actually plan activities for you all. I wish our program did that for us. I was like, shh. This is what I'm saying. Non-school affiliated trips are really the way to go. I feel like it's also like a better experience for you to get more out of it because it's not tied to you directly academically. Like it's tied to you, academically. Because every time I did it, it was something that like I could put somewhere, but like at the college level, like you get actual college credit for it. So if you do a program that's technically connected to your school, like there isn't as much separation, So for the Oxford kids, like it was a big group of them. They came with their school. Like I think a lot of them like stayed in like a certain dorm. I think there was like a partnership with the school. And while that's really nice when there is a separation of, oh, this is an outside program, as in CIEE needs their check cut from the school. It's not oh, we have a person that works with this program. So no, it's send me my check. And as long as your child is doing what they need to do academically and they're following the rules of this program, you're not going to get no. There isn't a certain standard, because you got to think about it. Any child, teenager, young adult who has committed themselves to studying such a difficult, unique, and challenging language is going to be a little different. And so if they like to go party hardy, what they say, C's get degrees, okay? As long as they are following the rules of this program and, you know, not about to get kicked out and, you know, exposed on CCTV footage. You know, in China, they have like these walls of shame. And so people who like jaywalk and do illegal stuff, they'll like put their information on this. It's not, I mean, some people be like, oh, that Black Mirror episode. But honestly, like, I think some people with jaywalking should have shame, because don't you know how long I done sat here at this light and waited? And you couldn't get off your phone and pay attention to the light? I'm sorry. Have y'all ever seen traffic in China? It's no wonder all them people on mopeds. I kid you not. I would get out the club and we would rent bikes and bike to the second destination. Okay? And honestly, sometimes the traffic wasn't even that bad. Like, it was just fun to bike places. Like, you get so fit studying abroad too. I promise you, you're hitting 10,000 steps a day. Easy. Easy. I just gotta say, bring some comfortable shoes. Bring some comfortable shoes, okay? So, what else? So, day trip to Jiming Temple, Ming City Wall, and Shuangwu. And then we also had a peer-to-peer interaction, which meant that we had peers, like actual like Chinese students who would tag along and just like be our friend for the program. Like, they just hang out with us. I mean, they got paid, you know, but it was nice to constantly have that interaction, not only from the locals, but also you do a homestay program. And let me tell you, my first year host family, it was so odd, okay? Because like I say, I come from a very different background, right? Very, you know, older grandparents, and my parents like were very Christian, and they also like stopped bad habits, so that like I've never seen my mom or dad smoke cigarettes. I've never seen either one of my parents drunk. Things like that, right? I've never seen my parents like not in control, you know, kind of situation, right? So with my first host family, it was my first time ever living with, you know, a dad who drank. And like, this was not my, like, in my further journey, I would say not my first time ever like having a drunk host parent. And let me say, not through CIEE, I'm saying just in general. You know, drinking is a very social thing, right, nowadays. So I didn't grow up with this, so it was very different for me to see it in the home, right? Because you can see people out drinking socially, but you're like, I'm going home, bye. But when it's in your house, you're like, oh, okay, right? So my host family lived in an apartment in, I would say it was like the decent side of Nanjing. They didn't have an elevator, and I think they were on like the 4th floor or something like that. They lived at the top level. Okay, they had invested a lot of money into the apartment, because I seen some of the other apartments nearby and they weren't as nice. So they definitely invested into their apartment. The floors were done up. They had a office space, and then they had their daughter's room, and then they had their bedroom. So their daughter gave up her bedroom. She was so sweet. But for me, I was like, I don't know. I will say, like, Chinese girls, they're like very like girl proud, like, you know, like in like in like the little movies where the girls really like hold hands or like hold their bestie's pinky or like hold their finger. Like, that's really how they are. And like, if I could go back, I definitely, like, you will be seeing me strutting down the streets of China with my hao pengyo, us like interlocking fingers and just like dilly dallying, okay, as we go along shopping, okay, because that is so cute. I'm so cute. Should have took advantage of that young girl. But like, I was like, girl, like we be walking, she want to hold hands with me. I had to like, I asked my teacher, how do I tell her in America only lesbians hold hands? And I'm about to tell you. 在美国女同性恋会手拉手 which means like 在美国 in America 女同性恋 lesbians 会手拉手 hold hands, right? And years later, I feel bad telling the girl that, but for real, I was like, me and my best friends don't hold hands like that, But like, I feel bad for disturbing her innocence. But these are the things that you learn, right? Going back, I would have just held her hand. I would have been in Rome and done as the Romans do. But we can only learn, okay? So if you're watching this and your little host sister and your teenage host sister wants to hold your hand, hold her hand. Hold her hand. Don't bring your American customs over there. Hold her hand. Anyway, my host mommy, she was a baddie. Okay, she used to wear heels every day. She had dinner on the table. Yeah, she was a tiger mom. So best believe Brown was doing her homework. Okay, I came back. My teacher said, "Oh, you actually learned something." I was like, "I had a tiger mom." You think they turned it off just because they're a host mom? No. She's like, "Oh, you don't have homework today?" I kid you not. I used to walk into the house, get some water. 你今天有作业吗？你今天可以帮助你 like your little sister can help you. I looked at her English textbook. I said, "Girl, what is this?" And that's when I knew America was a problem. I looked at her English textbook and I said, "Yeah, the other countries are beating us." That's when I started to start work. I was like, I'm not even working hard enough yet. I'm not. We ain't. Mm-mm. So, my host dad, surprising man. Like, he just looked like a straight businessman. Like, he gets his money, he work hard, and he come home, and he loved him a bill. He loved himself a bill. And they had a glass bathroom though. It was like glass, but the frame of it was wood, so it was like glass and wood. And I promise you, I was asleep one night. I heard some banging on it, and I just heard slurred Chinese speech. I said, "What the man?" I said, "Oh, he is lit. He is lit." He was going, going, going. I promise you, my host mom said like 2 sentences. Shut that man clean up. Clean up. I said, "Oh." So he got sense. I don't know what was said. I don't know what was said. But all I know is she run a tight ship around that type. She don't play, okay? I logged into my WeChat to see what her and my old host sister was up to. My host sister was in some competition. She placed. Sister girl placed. Okay? She said it may be a one-child policy, but let me tell you, this one right here, it's gonna do numbers. And I can say that about all my host families. All of my host families' kids were very intelligent. My other host family, my host brother was 8 years old, and they were traveling, like it was summertime. They were traveling, taking this boy to math competitions. He was placing in math competitions at 8 years old. That boy was smart. They had 2 apartments in China that were next to each other. So we lived in a completely separate apartment from them. Right? So we kind of like, my second trip abroad was like, it was like, I will say honestly, low key, kind of like, it was like the middle child, like the best, because we essentially had our own apartment, right? And because they were traveling so much, like we had a nanny. I felt so bougie. Oh my gosh. And that's the thing, like the host families are like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, right? So my second host family was my richest host family. I will say that hands down, okay? First of all, they had what was it? It was a BMW that they didn't even drive. It was either a BMW or an Audi. And the first time they drove it was to drop us off at the airport on our last day there. Like any other time, they were ordering cars. Like ordering cars, ordering cars, ordering cars. Order a car, order a car. Okay? They had the nanny. The nanny was the one that was cooking all of our meals. Breakfast and dinners. The nanny. The nanny was cooking. She made good food too. Okay. Sometimes our host family was there from time to time, but it was me and another girl, Amina, and so me and Amina we had a whole apartment to ourselves. Like we were just doing stuff. Like we were just going outside, going on walks. I met this man from Cuba. He smelled real like he was going on a run. That man was drenched in sweat and just smelled so nice. I was like, oh my gosh. It was just I was just outside, just meeting people, just doing stuff, because it wasn't like my first host family where it was like a smaller apartment, and I had that tiger mom asking me, where's your homework? My second year, my study abroad family, they were kind of like, okay, well, your little brother has a math competition, so we're gonna see you 3 days this week, and then we're gonna be gone, and then y'all going on a trip with your program. So we'll have a maid service come clean up your apartment. If you don't want us to touch anything, just let us know. Like, I kid you not, that was like how most of the conversations went. Like, we don't care what you do. They were like, there's a complex down the street. We have a membership. You can go swim in there. See the Family Guy where he's like babysitting that one boy in the water. He's like, well, here's the radio. Here's some pills. You can rattle it. Here's some magazines. And I'm like that's just like what I think of, because you're like, here's everything you need. Because like honestly, like how you gonna entertain two teenage girls? Like they really just gave us our own apartment, fed us, gave us good Wi-Fi, and they said there you go. And then we had each other too, which made it a little nice. So, and like I said, like you can like look at this sheet. Like they kept us stacked with activities. So the only time you were really with your host family day. Host family day. Host family weekend. Like, and if your host family wasn't there, you just hung out with everybody else. Because let me tell you, there were other programs there at the school. You go out into the street, of course you're going to meet people, because Nanjing isn't like super small, but it's also not super big. So you're bound to meet a friend. You're bound to know somebody or just hang out with somebody. So there was always something to get into because it was so cheap to get into stuff. I kid you not, you go to karaoke, have a good time. Oh my gosh. So for my first year studying abroad, our teachers, we had long shirt, so like dragon, so we had Justin, that was his English name. Then we had Heidi. So much. Oh, I love me some Heidi. And then we had Chang Laosher, and then we had Fu Laosher. So Fu Laosher was like ahead of everything. Like she was in charge. Like she, just a very smart, educated, sophisticated lady. And she spoke very softly. But like nobody was messing with Fu Laosher because she just had this, like all of them had this vibe, like don't play with me. But Heidi and Justin were like the big brother and big sister, and they were just so fun, so fun. And like they definitely made like that first year, because second year, I don't think they were both there. All right, I don't remember, but it was definitely a different group second year. Um, Not the same. Some people were the same, but not everybody. But first year, like the first year, like the gang that was there was like definitely awesome, because Justin taught a Zumba class. So it was nice to go to Justin's Zumba class. Like after a long day of classes and activities, we would go just dance, and the Chinese ladies loved it. Like they used to come out to the university. They used to be in their bright outfits, just like getting the Zumba moves. I'm like, you know what? I was like, hold on, because I could pop it too. And that, like, it was just such a good time. So, knowing that, because Justin loved Chinese and he also loved Zumba, he was able to bring that there and create just their own little fun community with the little ladies there. It was amazing. And like I say, anybody that dedicates that much of their life to learning this language, immersing themselves in this culture, they're gonna be different. They're gonna be different, and they're gonna be so layered, because you have to find ways to make a new place feel like home. And it's never gonna be home, but you can definitely find your home in different places. And I just want to talk more about the awesome experiences. I feel like this one was kind of like a bit broad and definitely all over the place. But I really do want to talk more probably about I don't know. I don't even know what I can talk about. Well, I will talk more about why I ended up doing CIEE 3 times later on. But I definitely want to put this out there for anyone who is considering studying abroad or a CIEE program. Now, while my experiences were mainly in China, I did have like a satellite almost experience through one of my friends. So when I ended up going to college, a friend of mine that I connected with, we were both Gilman scholars, and my friend ended up doing CIEE in Senegal and Dakar. And similar there, my friend had an amazing host family, and my friend actually still keeps in contact and has a very, very, very close relationship with their family. So just knowing that even from continent to continent, the or country to country, even a different continents, because Asia, Africa, people are just having really wholesome experiences with their host families. People are staying connected with their host families years later and gaining so much from the experience that they're giving back to other people. Because my friend ended up putting a trip together that was affiliated with our college because of the amazing experience that they had through CIEE. And I definitely want to share, because you can get that experience through not being affiliated with school. However, being affiliated with a school allows you to like bring your friends on, but you can definitely still bring your friend on to a CIEE program, and you can raise funds together, get a little side job to make the money together for the trip, because you are going to gain so much. And if the language is something that you plan on keeping with, because my friend kept up with French, okay, fluent in French. Be trying to keep a little Chinese too, but fluent in French, okay? And friend is fluent in French because friend was immersed, friend was interested, friend was goal oriented, friend was dedicated. So if you have that same drive and you want to learn more about the programs, I definitely am happy to leave links. For sure, ask me questions if you want to know more, because I love this program down bad. And one of the really nice things about it is that they do cover it. Like I feel it really is bumper to bumper coverage. Like there's nothing that's not covered by CIEE except for your flight. That's it. And like of course like spending money. but they do a good job of filling everything up. That like it's accessible. It's truly accessible. And you just gotta put a little work in, because you're gonna have to continue to put the work in when you get there. So they wanna know, are you going to put in this work and keep putting in this work? Because there's no point in studying at the top school, whatever destination you're going to, you're studying at the top school. So there's no point in putting in all this work and getting to this prestigious university and not being able to work hard. Like, the people be like, oh, like, people, like, I'm like, don't be shocked that I'm actually like progressing, because if you're going to sit there and you're going to fill out the applications and you are going to, create avenues for the money and the funds to come to make this a reality, you're gonna keep working. Like, you're gonna keep up at it, because you're driven by the outcome. You're driven by that result. You're driven by this, okay? The admission notification. And then you're also driven by your certificate. Okay? The certificate that says that you did the program. You passed the classes. You got the grades that you need to get. And I know what my grades were. And I know how hard I was working for those grades. So it's a journey that you're witnessing for yourself. But it's internal and external. External because people can see your grades. People can also see, okay, they're getting confident within their language. They're speaking more fluently. Now, the internal stuff is you just navigated living in a brand new country on your own. And it's not as scary on the parent side of it, because there is support there along the way. So when when the kids from Oxford were like, oh, well, we don't know who to talk to, like, that was never the case for us. And some people were like, oh, well, you didn't get the real experience. And it was like, well, do you really want to send a high schooler into a country that they don't know nothing or no one, even on a college level? Because if you think about it, the price that we're paying for a study abroad trip, some people are paying way more for a 10-day trip and not even getting as much out of it. So you decide for yourself what kind of experience you want, because it is called the Council for International Educational Exchange, and educational in more ways than one, because you're learning your people skills while you're developing your language skills. And the global socialization is really taking it up another notch. So I'm here to be a resource, and my friends are here to be resources too. Okay, I have a community of people, and if you're interested in learning more about this wonderful program, even if it's not a location in China, I have friends who did the programs in Spain. I have friends who did the program in Senegal. I also have friends who did completely separate programs. Like one homegirl did her program in Ireland. I think she was studying marine biology, marine life. I tell you, I got friends who are unique and have different hobbies and interests. However, at the end of the day, they look like me, okay? And we want more people that look like us to go do these programs, so that there isn't just one of us in the bunch, It'd be nice if there was more, because there are more. There are more of us that want to do these programs, that want to, find a community of other people that look like us, that did it, that can tell you it's not as scary as the other people are making it. You don't have to wait and save up your life savings. You don't have to wait and join the military to be able to go experience new places. You can do it on your own, and you can do it, get paid for it in some cases, or you can pay for it and pay for that peace of mind, because it actually is going to ease your peace of mind when you have certain assurances in place for your child, and just for yourself. So come back, because I'm gonna share more and talk more, because like I said, I get paid to talk about this place and I'm gonna keep talking about them. Love you. See you next time.